Hello everyone. So this is the summary of the poem Easter 1916 by William Butler Yeats. So these are the important points. This poem is about an event Easter Rising which happened in Dublin, Ireland in 1916. This poem is about the execution of Irish revolutionaries by British forces. These revolutionaries were demanding freedom for Ireland from Britain, which Britain promised them in 1914. But when First World War broke out, then Britain didn't fulfill their promise. This is the text of the poem. I have met them at close of day, coming with vivid faces from counter or desk among grey 18th century houses. I have passed with a nod of the head or polite meaningless words, or have lingered a while and said polite meaningless words. So when the poem opens, poet says that he has met Irish rebels during the evening time, those who died later in the Easter Rising. So these people had bright and happy faces because they were returning from their offices or jobs. He met them among the grey 18th century houses of Dublin. The poet had met them by simply nodding his head, and sometimes he did a polite, meaningless talk with them. Sometimes he stayed with them for a while to have a polite, meaningless talk, and thought before I had done of a mocking tale or a jibe to please a companion around the fire at the club, being certain that they and I but lived where mortal is born. All changed, changed utterly. A terrible beauty is born. So, while the poet was talking with these people, he was thinking about a funny story or a joke which he is going to tell some of his friends whom he is going to meet at the club when they are going to sit around the fire of the club. So, at that point, the poet thought that he and those people were living a same vibrant and colorful life. But now, poet feels that everything is changed. A terrible beauty is born and has taken the lives of so many people during Easter Rising. That woman's days were spent in ignorant goodwill, her nights in arguments until her voice grew shrill. What voice more sweet than hers? When young and beautiful, she wrote to Harriet. So, in these lines, poet talks about the people who participated in Easter Rising. First of all, he talks about a woman whose name was Constance Markievicz, who spent her days and nights in teaching goodwill to others, although she was herself ignorant. She spent her nights in giving political arguments to such an extent that her voice became shrill. Poet says that when she was young, she was very beautiful and she had a sweet voice and she used to ride a horse. This man had kept a school and rode our winged horse. This other, his helper and friend, was coming into his force. He might have won fame in the end, so sensitive his nature seemed, so daring and sweet his thoughts. So, in these lines, poet is talking about the next man who sacrificed his life during Easter Rising, whose name was Patrick Pearse, who used to run a school and also wrote poetry. Thomas MacDonagh, who was the friend and helper of Patrick Pearse, also got influenced by him. He was capable of winning fame because of his sensitivity. He was brave and he had sweet thoughts. This other man I had dreamed a drunken, vainglorious lout. He had done most bitter wrong to some who are near my heart. Yet I number him in the song. He too has resigned his part in the casual comedy. He too has been changed in his turn, transformed utterly. A terrible beauty is born. So the next man about whom poet talks is John McBride. Poet calls him an arrogant and a drunkard fellow. He had done wrong to his wife Maud Gonne, whom Yeats loved deeply. Okay. So but poet now acknowledges him as well because he has sacrificed his life for Irish cause. He has also left the unimportant activities of his daily life. His life is also transformed because he died in Easter Rising. So that event was destructive but brought a strong change. Hearts with one purpose alone. Through summer and winter seem enchanted to a stone to trouble the living stream. The horse that comes from the road, the rider, the birds that range from cloud to tumbling cloud, and minute by minute they change. A shadow of cloud on the stream changes minute by minute. So, in these lines, poet says that these Irish rebels were committed to one purpose only. That purpose was freedom for Irish people. They strongly believed in this and didn't change their opinions. So, their minds were like stones, okay, in the flowing river. So, whether it was summer or winter, they were united for this cause of Irish freedom. So, they disturbed the lives of other people with their fixed opinions. In the next lines, poet says that All things in nature are subjected to change, like a horse coming from the road, the rider of the horse, and the birds that fly from one cloud to another. They all change in course of time. Even clouds are changing their positions. Okay, even the reflection of the cloud on a river also changes minute by minute. Come to the next lines. A horse hoof slides on the brim and a horse splashes within it. The long-legged moorhens dive and hands to moorcocks call. Minute by minute they leave the stones in the midst of all. Too long a sacrifice can make a stone of the heart. So now in these lines, poet says that the foot of the horse slips into the water and horse is splashing in the water now. In the next lines, poet says that long-legged moor hens dive in the water and call their moor cocks and enjoy. Everything changes minute by minute, but stone remains unchanged among such lively activity around it. So in the next lines, poet says that a heart becomes a stone if it makes a long sacrifice. Come to the next lines. Oh, when may it suffice that it is heaven's part, our part to murmur name upon name, as a mother names her child, when sleep at last has come, on limbs that had run wild. What is it but nightfall? No, no, not night but death. Was it needless death after all? For England may keep faith for all that is done and said. So in these lines, poet asks a question that when will these sacrifices won't be needed? So then he leaves this question to God to answer. He can just remember the names of the martyrs who sacrificed their lives. This is what he can do on his part. So, this is what he can do on his part. He is watching these people like a mother who watches her child when her child goes to sleep after playing around wildly. Poet wants death to be painless and temporary like the night. Okay, so when we fall asleep and we wake up in the morning. Now, poet is aware that these people are dead in reality. These people have not gone to sleep, but they are in dead. They are dead in reality, and they won't come back to life. So, in the next lines, he is wondering whether these sacrifices were necessary or not. He thinks that these people should have kept faith in Britain's promise that they would grant freedom to Ireland. We know they dream enough to know they dreamed and are dead. And what if excess of love bewildered them till they died? I write it out in a verse. Macdonagh and Macbride and Connolly and Pierce, now and in time to be, wherever green is worn, are changed, changed utterly. A terrible beauty is born. So now poet says that these people had cherished a dream for Ireland's freedom and died for that cause only. Poet pays respect to them for their devotion to the Irish cause, but he thinks that their extreme love for freedom might have blinded their judgment. But at the end, poet takes the name of these people to pay tribute to them. These people are MacDonagh, MacBride, Connolly, and Pierce. In the next lines, poet says that when Irish people will wear their official color green, okay, to celebrate their country, then the sacrifices of these people will be remembered and honored by the Irish people, both in present and in future time as well. So these people have changed because of their sacrifices and will be remembered by Irish people when they will gather to celebrate their freedom. So that event was terrible because so many people got killed at that time. And here the poem ends.